did it last year, but my ministry didn't want me to go there. So.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. But you did the test, though.
Yeah. Chemistry is the only one that's
I was looking at the results last year, and Diego was right. The pass rate wasn't great for biology and the chemistry test. The maths was okay, actually. I'd say like the average score in maths was maybe like, I don't know, 60%.
60.
Yeah, well, but that's for a difficult exam. Whereas maybe the average for the other two were like 40. You know, there was about but that's because last year's one was quite difficult. The maths was normal, like other exams.
But they have different, like multiple exams, by the way.
Oh, I know.
From what I remember, I think 35 to 45% of the exam was straight.
Was what?
Was trigonometry, sine, cosine.
Yeah, there's a lot of trigonometry, geometry, and coordinate geometry. A little bit of algebra, and maybe one calculus question, maximum.
I don't remember a calculus.
Yeah, but not even, like maximum one. Yeah.
It was.
Guys, there's a list for people to sign if they want to do Charles. So, has everybody signed that who's interested? Yeah, where is the list at now? Yeah, pass it up then. Since, Ahmed, since Tiago was talking about it, I'll just give you a little bit of input on the maths part of the Charles entry test. I have, what must I have? I must have about 12 entry tests. Amjad and Ahmed, you're distracting me. Are you listening? But don't talk when I'm talking, because I'm telling them about Charles. Right, thank you. Has everybody signed this that needs to sign it? Yeah, okay, that's good. So as I was saying, I'll give you my opinion of the maths for the Charles entry test, okay? The maths, I have about, I think, 12 exams you can practice. Some of the stuff you've seen in class already on the test, and some of it you might have seen in high school. And I hope only a small amount of it would be new. If you're interested in the Charles, it's probably not a bad idea to start practicing questions from the practice test, because I have loads, yeah?
Are they on Moodle?
I don't know. They're on my website, I know that for certain. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they're on Moodle. I can't remember if they were, like there's a medicine page on Moodle, isn't there? Are the maths exams on it?
Yeah, test exam.
Maybe I'll put them on that page as well.
Or just the link to your website.
Yeah, I will put at least a link to my page that has them. So my plan is I want to make. You have the solutions, they're MCQ solutions, but I also want to make video solutions too. I've only managed to do that for one test so far because I'm busy. But we'll have some prep classes. So what I wanted to use the prep classes for were for doing questions that you can't understand even after you look at the solution. You know, yeah.
Is it only multiple choice, or is there like?
No, it's all multiple choice.
The whole test?
Well, I can only speak for the maths. I believe
it's
it's.
like stats, yeah. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but they're not like the questions are different.
Yeah.
You know.
What about different universities?
I think one of them, like Lithuania or something, there's no maths test, so I don't care about that. And I think there's a maths test for that. It's the same as Charles. All these maths entry tests for these Eastern European colleges, they're all the same difficulty. I suspect that the test is based off of the syllabus for high school maths in these Eastern European countries. So I guess they don't study much calculus on the medical high school programs in places like where Charles and yeah, there's probability. Not really statistics, actually. So I haven't seen a question where they ask you for something like the average. But I've seen a few probability questions where you have to draw the Venn diagrams. That's a kind of a standard question on it. But like I said, I'll put the link up. You should start looking at the questions, okay? Now, the exams, they're not all the same difficulty. It's a little bit weird. Like, some of them you'll find easier than others. So if you pick an exam to practice and you find it a bit tricky, just find another one to practice first, okay? You can come back to it another time. Question? Say again, sir?
Is the placement test more difficult than the final exam?
It depends on the test, you know. Like, I don't know what the mark is to consider if it's like you need to get a 60% or something. You know, I think the maths is okay. It's like a 1 hour or something. You do between 10 and 15 questions. They're all MCQ. Half of them you should find straightforward, and the other half you'll have to think about. So as long as you make sure the ones you know you get perfect, then you've already got 5 out of 10. You know, because some questions be like, you know, whatever, solve a quadratic or find the vertex or something, you know. So if you get the ones you know perfect, then you've got a good chance of getting a 6 or 7 out of 10, which is probably what they need anyway. So Tiago's right. It's a good option to have as an extra option. Yeah. Anyways, he said there's something on the calendar schedule for revision classes. So at some point, I don't know when, but at some point in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure you'll get an email about when we'll be running the preparation classes for it. Okay. But like I said, it's probably a good idea if you start looking at the exams now if you're interested in doing
Who
this.
will be doing the preparation class?
It's usually me for the child's one. 90% chance. Maybe even 100, but you never know. It's usually me because I have the most experience with the test, because I usually do it most years. Okay. Right, okay, so we're going to the next topic now. It's pretty straightforward for the first class. In fact, it's possibly even something you've done with one of your other teachers now. Scatter plot. Oh, good, you can see. Now, oh yeah, and you all have this as well. It's the schedule for the university fair.
So when do you have the classes that which are
On this day?
Yeah.
Oh no. It's a full day of events.
So cancelled?
Yes.
and is attendance required?
The teachers take attendance in the morning in the hall.
So we're required.
But like,
Short
on
answer,
Fridays,
yes.
Students don't need to be there the whole time. Like, because some of the hours are just business things.
What if I'm not?
Huh?
What if I'm not applying to?
And you don't.
Yeah, but just because you're not applying doesn't mean there's no value in it. So like, for example, sometimes students actually change their mind after they see presentation and other talks, you know? Like, where are you applying?
What?
Where are you applying?
Charles?
Yeah. So, do you know what? Look, the short answer is you have to go and there's attendance, okay? That's the short answer. Okay. So, scatter plots.
You only have to attend the beginning of the day.
Yeah, the other half of the day is like is like a fair. You can just go and ask the people questions at the stands, you know.
And you don't have to be there.
There's no attendance for that half. Yeah. Okay, scatter plots. So these are useful when you have what's called bivariate data. So this is when your data looks like this. Each data point, you have two values, an x and a y. So examples might be you collect from a class their heights and their weights. Or maybe you collect their, let's say, their maths score and their EAP score, or something like this. So you notice in all these examples, you're collecting a pair of points. You're collecting a pair of points from each student. So a scatter plot plots one against the other. So really it's a lot like a coordinate geometry plot where you have x and y. But x and y could be anything, could be height and weight. Like I said, math score and EAP score, whatever. So we'll have a look at what a scatter plot looks like, and we'll look at all the terms we can have with that. Can I scroll down? 1 sec. Okay.
I didn't get the last point.
Yeah, just plot one point against another point. Okay, so let's make up some data. So, let's say we collect, what will we collect? Maybe something like EAP and bio results, something like this, I don't know. And we'll just keep it simple. We'll just say that there's 4 students, although you should really have more than 4. So let's say this student got a 50, this one got a 45, this one got a 60, and this one got a 90, and let's say this is an 80, this is a 60, this is a 50, no, let's make that one a little lower, let's make that one a 30, and that one a 40 then. Okay. There now. Right. Okay. So to make sure you get full marks for the scatter plot, this is what you need to draw. I didn't say it in the question, so it doesn't really matter which way around you put them. Except, there is an interpretation for which is on the x and which is on the y. So for example, if I put EAP on the x and bio on the y, what I'm suggesting is that the bio result depends on the EAP result. If I put the EAP on the y and the bio on the x, what I'm saying is the EAP depends on the bio. So naturally speaking, which would make more sense to go on the x-axis? EAP, because we kind of feel like the EAP should influence the bio. So, first things first, you want to make sure it has a label. So the label would be bio against EAP, or you could say bio versus EAP or anything like that. So bio against EAP, and make sure you label the x and the y. So this, this is EAP, and this is bio. Okay. Now, when we make graphs, this is how we represent the unit. So you write slash, and then beside the slash you write what the unit is. So what is the unit we're measuring EAP in? Percent. So there needs to be a percent here, and it needs to be a percent here. Okay? No, that's the way I don't like it. That's the way I don't like it. That's probably the way you're doing in biology class. Yeah. So yeah, I know some ways you can write name bracket unit.
Yeah.
And then name slash unit is the more modern way. Yeah. It's the like for example, some people write meters per second and some people write it like this. Has this come up in biology?
Yeah.
Anything that would have a slash in it? Like milliliters per
Meters cubed.
what did you do? Grain per meter cubed. So it's probably written like this, was it? Or like this? Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Oh, good for column.
No, here's the first one.
Okay, people not fully paying attention in biology class. You need to speak to them?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Hi everybody. You got an email from me yesterday about Galway. Yeah. So a lot of you here are medicine students. Obviously medicine isn't an option in Galway, but it's still worth the trip if you've never been. Have you been to Galway before? Did you like it? Yes, so people who have been there generally like it. It is your midterm break. For this midterm break, you don't have any exams straight afterwards. Isn't that right, Stephen?
Yeah.
We were totally advising you all sit back and relax and do nothing for the week. Isn't that right?
Something like that.
Not quite. But, you know, you do have some free time. It's nice to get out of the city and go to something. So you're very welcome to come to the NUI Galway trip, even if Galway isn't one of the universities you're considering. We'll visit the university and then we'll visit the city centre. The university itself is very beautiful. It's like UCC a little bit, you know, old buildings, very pretty. And then obviously if you wanted to, you could stay on for a couple of nights and visit the city or visit Cliffs of Moher, Calmore Abbey, places I mentioned in my email. Okay? So if you want to go, just register online. We need to know how many people want to go before we book the bus. So the sooner you register, the better. Any questions? No? Good. Okay. Thanks, Stephen.
So which is it for sure? Is it slash or -1 that was used? -1.
Both of them are valid.
No, I know both are valid. I just wanted to figure out which you used in bio class.
Sir, this is it. Look, I have the paper right here.
Thank you.
It's at the end top. Yeah, bottom. So it was grains per meter -3.
Right, you need to tell Colin he's not to be mixing his notation, okay? So, just to be clear, everybody, there's kind of two styles of writing notation, okay? So the first one is where, let's say, for example, we were looking at speed on the x-axis, okay? And then we could write bracket meter/second like this, okay? Or the other choice, which is what we use in maths and physics, and you should be using this, speed, and then slash ms -1, okay? What Colin is doing is quite bad, and you can tell him this. He's mixing the two styles, okay? He is using brackets and the -1, right? Okay, and you need to tell him to immediately stop doing this, all right? Or there'll be consequences, right?
If they're both valid, there's actually nothing.
They're both valid, but you certainly can't mix them. Yeah, because that's bad style. Yeah, no, true. Like, if you're using this, right, it means then that you can't use this because you've kept this symbol to mean speed in units of. You know, so that's why you can't mix them. Because you don't want to reuse your symbols. Anyways, EAP, let's plot this. Oh, a little bit of vocabulary actually. EAP and bio, they have names. These variables have names. You might have come across it in... Very good. This one, which one is this one? Good. And this one? Good, good. Okay, so we're going up to... what's it? EAP goes from up to 90. So we'll just say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 then. And you should mark them all. And then bio is the same, isn't it? Yeah. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and it goes on. Okay, so the first one is 50 and 40. 30, 40, 50 and 40 would be there. The next one, what is it, 45? 10, 20, 30, 45 and 30. So that would be like there, roughly. The next one is 60, 60. 60 and about there, isn't it? And the last one's 80, it is 90.
I think he got the first point a bit off.
Is it off a little bit? Well, you get the idea anyways. Now, these points, they won't line up on a straight line perfectly. That's normal, actually. Because in real life, the data, you know, has a little bit of noise to it. So it's actually quite normal that they don't line up. And then what you do, and I'll show you how to do this in a moment, is you need to draw a line that, as best you can, fits the data, but it won't fit them all. And this is called the line of best fit. Now, I'll do another example. I'll do another example that's a little bit neater than this. And I'll show you how you can estimate the line of best fit. Do a little bit neater. Okay.
Sir, but where's your starting point? Like, you start from 50, 40 or? Can you do that?
The line,
Yeah, the line.
you can extend it a little bit beyond either way. Yeah. Yeah?
How would the marking scheme look like for this? You could have different answers put into it.
For the line? Yeah, but what we'll actually do next is I'll show you a process for drawing the line. So, like a procedure. Okay. Can I scroll down? Yes. Okay. Right, so let's do an example, a real example that's a little bit neater. So we'll make up some data, but we'll have a few more points in it. We'll have 6 points in it just to make it a little bit more. Actually, is there any data you actually have from something you've done recently that we could plot?
The one we did today.
Oh, that's
It's a
a
histogram.
oh, it's a histogram. Oh, that's a weird coincidence. You did histograms today, and were they histograms or histograms? Histograms. Okay.
It was frequently equal to frequency. It wasn't frequency over rate.
Yeah. Okay. There's nothing in here that would be a scatter plot, is it?
Yeah, the graphs are behind.
Ah. Okay. No scatter plots. What was the data here?
Pollen.
Oh, pollen count, wasn't it? Yeah.
There's a ton of these.
Okay. Yeah, I can't really use that, so I'll just make up an example then. It's all data for histograms and things, yeah. Okay. Right, let's see now. Oops. So this is just our data here. Did you do anything in chemistry recently that we could plot? No? Nothing. I thought you did some kind of like neutralization and yeah. So like yeah, I don't care. I just need to know the two variables that you used. So what were the two things? pH, okay.
Volume.
And volume.
Yeah.
Fine, okay, that'll do, fine. So you measured pH. So that can be, we'll call that, well no, I won't call it anything yet. I will just, what's the name for pH? Like how acidic it is? Does that have a noun?
No, it's just
No, pH is the unit.
Yeah.
So what's the noun describes? Like acidity or? What's
Just
this?
a scale.
Hydrogen
Scale.
ions concentration.
No, no. Hang on, guys. You're doing that thing where you think I'm stupid, okay? Listen carefully to what I'm saying, all right? I know what pH is. I also know the scale and the units, okay? My question is an English one. What is the noun? You say pH, fill in the blank. pH measures the blank.
The concentration of
There's not one word?
no, it's the concentration of the hydrogen ions.
Yep. Yes, but I want a word. One word.
Oh, there is no concentration.
Acidity.
Yeah, it's a scale of acidity.
Right, so acidity.
Yeah.
Fine. That's what I was trying to get at. So, I'll just write A then. And the unit is pH. Right, and what's the other thing you measured then? Volume, was it? And the unit you used? You used milliliters?
Yeah. Or
Milliliters. Okay, centimeters cubed. Yeah, same thing. We'll use centimeters cubed. Okay. Right. So, what number should I fill in here? Like, what level of values did you have for pH? From roughly
between 7.5 to 8.5.
7.5 to 8.5. Okay, so we'll say 7.5. It's not really important. I just want some numbers that are realistic. 7.7, 7.9, 8, 8.1, and 8.5. We'll say. And what was the? What was the volume like?
23.7.
So about 23 to
24.
Yeah, 23, 24.
23, 24. And was the smaller pH with the smaller volume, or the other way around?
It was random.
It's irrelevant.
Oh, it was pretty random.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just make up some numbers. I'll say 23, 23.1, 23.5. There was no, it wasn't like they were both increasing together.
Well, for my results, I got 23.7 twice, and then at 23.6 at the third time. That was enough.
All right, well, it doesn't matter. We'll just We'll just say this is data. Okay, so I'll just give you a minute to copy this table down and then we'll plot it. I'll actually ask you do two things first for me. I first want you to calculate the means, average acidity and average volume first, before we draw anything. You have the averages? Great. What did you get for the average pH?
The average pH
Yeah.
is 7.95.
Seems reasonable. What did you get?
7.78333.
Guys, come on. I'm just asking to add numbers together. You do this in baby school. Just give me the average correctly, please.
Pretty sure I did it right.
The one, the volume is 23.5.
Okay.
Could you agree on that?
Yeah.
23.5. Right, well, what about the acidity then?
Yeah, 7.5.
Oh, Mo, you and your fancy graphing calculator.
You guys have something against it?
It's fine as long as you get the right answer, okay? Right, now let's graph this. So, well, you tell me actually, since you did the experiment, which would seem more appropriate to put on the x?
Definitely pH. What? pH.
Now, to answer that question, no, listen. To answer that question, you need to think about the experiment. You think about what is the thing that you changed. What was the thing you varied? And then what is the thing you measured in response to that?
The x-axis, the pH, the y-axis.
Now, hang on, I'm getting opposite answers, so just one at a time. So what about over here? What were you saying?
Volume.
You changed the volume and then you measured the pH. Okay. So that means volume goes on the x-axis because it's the independent. And then on the y-axis is the measured pH. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Volume, I need to go up to 24 at the most. So,
Oh,
yeah. Now, I have to start at 23. So rather than starting at 0, I mean, it's fine. You can start at 0, but it'll look a little bit stretched. So what I can do is I can use this symbol here to mean that I've skipped all the way up to 23. So I don't have an otherwise my graph is going to be really stretched out needlessly. So I'll go 23, 23.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, finishing on 24. Right, what about my, sorry, that's volume in centimeters cubed. And then this one here is acidity
couldn't you just start
in
the,
pH.
Couldn't you just start the x-axis at 23?
What are you talking about, man?
That's what they do.
Instead of using the straight symbol.
No, you need this symbol because you're saying you've skipped 0 to 23.
Oh.
Right, what about on the y-axis? Where do I need to start? Yeah, so again, instead of starting at 0, I'll skip up to 7 by using this symbol again. So I'll start here at 7. Now, will I have enough space here? 7.1, 0.2, 0.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I can't quite do that. Well, I mean I could, but I think I'll go up in 0.2s, okay? So that's 7.2, 4, 6, 8, 8. And then finishing on 8.2. Oh! So, I'll just remove this. Okay, actually it reminds me of something to tell you not to do in the exam. Right, what do I need to go to? 8.5?
Yeah.
So then, that's 8 there. So that's 8.2, 0.4, and 6 then. Right, that's your covered. Last year, a student was making a graph and something similar happened to them. They got to the edge of the page and they realised they ran out of space. So what they did was they got another graph paper and sellotaped it onto the end of theirs. Okay? Don't do this. It's much better if you just start again and, rather than sticking on an extension to your graph paper. Okay? Don't do that. Right. So the first... Actually, what I'll do... What's the first one? 23 and 7.5. So there's 7, 2, 4. Okay, so 7.5 would be here. Yeah? Right, what's the next one? 23.1, which is here. And where do I need to go for that one? 7.7. 2, 4, 6. Okay, so that would be there. So you measure that across. All right. What's the next one? 23.5, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and what's the height? 7.9. So that would be across from there. Okay, the next one? Okay, and the height? 8. So that's it. Oh, in the exam, you don't need to draw these blue lines. You can just use your pencil to just mark it off neatly. What's the next one I'm at now? 8.1, and the height? 23. No. Oh, sorry. I'm at 23.9. Is this the next height? Which is here. And then the height? 8.1. So if I just measure across from here, that'd be there. And then the last one is 24 and then 8.5, which is in between those two. Whoa, that should be a straight line. Now, how do you draw your line of best fit? So my tip is the average point here. That should always be on the line of best fit. So what you do, just mark it with your pencil. 23.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then what's it? 7.95, is it?
Yeah.
So that would be around about just a smidge under 8, isn't it? So that's like here. It's a little bit above this blue one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then what you do with your ruler, you can't really see here, but you put your ruler so that it always passes through this point. So like, if this is the point, you put your ruler on it, and you just turn your ruler around the point. And what you're trying to do, you want to try and have the same number of points which are above the line and below the line. So for example, if I was to draw it like this, I would have 2 points above, and I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 points below. So I don't quite have it quite fitting. And likewise, I could go the other way. If I drew it, you know, like this, going straight across, I'd have 3 below and 3 above. So that's okay. But you really want to try and fit it so that the points are as close to the line as you can make them. And you would like to have 3 above the line and 3 below the line, if it's possible. So I think...
If you get 2 on the line...
Yeah, I think if I draw... I could actually get some on the line, couldn't I?
Yeah.
But if I draw it here...
No, that's not.
No.
If you draw it under, yeah.
Under this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 2 above.
It will
Hard without
What about if I get in between these two? Whoa.
Yeah. Now it works. Yeah, now it works.
It's not...
no.
it's close enough. You're never going to... I don't think you're ever going to get it perfect. You think it's possible? No, I'm happy with what I drew. I'm going to stick with it. Yeah? Because,
For this one, sir,
Yeah.
if you just have the line go through 23.5, 23.6, it'll be enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then you
23
don't need
point-
to, don't need to use the average here for this.
no. My point is, when you do the line of best fit, the average is always a point on the line, as a fact. It should always be on the line. So this average point here, which we calculate, should be like the centre of the line. Anyways, it's not a big deal because in the exam, we'll actually, in the next lesson this morning, we'll actually be able to calculate precisely what the line is. It's just for the first lesson, I just want you to have a way to roughly draw it. Yeah?
In the exam, do we need to draw it accurately or?
Yeah, you'll need to calculate it and then draw it. Yeah?
Would this be a B question or
It's usually, the graph is a B question. So if they ask you to draw something, it's a B question. But the calculation of the line could be an A question. Yeah? Okay, let's see. Listen. So just before I let you try a couple of these, just one more piece of vocabulary. So, let me just get a different colour here. You see this little distance here? This little distance here. These are kind of mistakes. They're errors. This distance here, this distance here, this distance here, and this distance here. These are like errors. Because in a perfect experiment, what you would really like to happen is that all the points fall on the line. But that's never really going to happen. So when you draw your line of best fit, what you're trying to do is make the total errors as small as possible. So like take a ridiculous line, like this one here. If I just drew a line going this way, which is obviously the wrong way, that's a big error, isn't it? And so is that, and so are these. So you're trying to move the line as to make the errors as small as possible. There's actually another name for these errors when they occur on the scatter plot. Does anyone know their name? I don't know if you've come across it. Error bars is not quite that. It's like a deviation. It's like like this, yeah. No. Residuals is the name for these errors on the scatter plot. Is that? For what? The mean? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. Before we go on to the next lesson, I think it's good if you can, as neatly as possible, do one of these questions now. So the first question seems fine. They're all very, very similar.
This can be rendered completely useless after the next one?
No, because you'll still need to know how to draw a scatter plot and label it correctly. All we're doing in the next lesson is improving our accuracy.